This routine has really helped me to make my whole body strong. It's not that much time in the gym. Your tibs are strong, no back pain. You're running with vigor. But what's amazing is you start to feel really good. It completely changes my psychology. I just naturally stand more upright. My posture and presence is just better. It actually increases your confidence, but it also sets up the work week really nicely. My training week starts on Sunday. I make it a focused effort to move as much as possible, ideally outdoors. I essentially want to be like a mule. If I'm on my own, I'll throw on an 8 or 10 pound weight vest and I'll head out for probably a 75-minute to a 90-minute slow jog with some hills. And I'll try and nasal breathe the whole time. I'll often listen to a podcast or a book. If I'm with other people, what I will do is I'll fill up a backpack with a bunch of heavy stuff, usually some water in there too, and drink it as I go. And I'll do 3 or 4 or 5 hours of just hiking and just trying to be outside as much as possible. The specific goal of that day is endurance. Because of the other things I do in the previous days, the 10 or 20 minutes that come at the start really suck. But what's amazing is somewhere in that 25, 30-minute period, you start to feel really good. You actually start to adapt to it. Long, slow jogs or hikes are really for my mind as much as they are for my body. And I'm convinced that they also carry over to my ability to endure boring stuff during the week, but also just my ability to work longer for longer bouts. Then Monday, the goal for me is to train my legs. Just get a leg workout on Monday. First of all, I just like the way that sounds to myself, like leg workout on Monday, but it also sets up the work week really nicely. Here's why. I'm going to train my legs the way that's always worked best for me for training, which is a warm up and then 2 to 3, maybe 4 hard sets. I should mention that the reason for training legs is that everyone should train legs. So large muscle groups. I'm trying to maintain some lower body strength or build lower body strength and explosiveness. The data that I see on longevity and just simply ability to perform different sports and to just feel strong throughout the body is strongly rooted in the legs. So don't skip leg day. Monday is really about getting that leg workout in to make my whole body strong. I'm really big on tib raises. I warm up with tib raises. I started doing tib work about 2 years ago, seriously doing tib work. So it's gonna be a couple warm-ups, maybe a 12 rep warm-up, an 8 rep warm-up, and then I'll do 3 sets of anywhere from 6 to 10 reps. Andy Galpin told me, and the literature supports, for hypertrophy, for muscle growth, 6 to 30 reps, anywhere in there can get you hypertrophy if you go to failure and if you go hard. I personally like to keep my resistance workouts an hour or less. I like to train in the more or less the 5 to 10 repetition range for strength and for hypertrophy. And I'm kind of going for a mix of both. So I train tibs, then I do sled or standing calf raises. Same thing, 2 to 4 sets, 5 to 8, maybe 10 repetitions. So I'm training calves. That takes about 10, 15 minutes total. I try and move relatively quickly through that. So 2 to 3 minutes rest, maybe 4 if I'm going for a heavy set. Then I'm weaker in the hamstrings than I am in my quads. So I do 2 warm-ups and then 2 to 4 working sets of lying leg curls. So then I'm done with calves and hamstrings, and then I'll do 2 or 3 sets of leg extensions. So maybe a warm-up and then 2 or 3 sets of working leg extensions, which for whatever reasons are incredibly painful. I hate them, but they work to isolate the quads. And then 2 or 3 sets of working hack squats after a warm-up. And then I'm done. So the Tuesday is very different. Tuesday, I don't want to call it a recovery day, but Tuesday I'm doing something really different. First of all, my legs need recovery. So what I'll do is substantial amounts of deliberate heat exposure and deliberate cold exposure. Yes, I do cold showers in the morning first thing nowadays. Yes, it is a bad idea to do cold water immersion after hypertrophy training. So just for the record, you don't want to get into an ice bath after hypertrophy training in the 6 hours after a hypertrophy training because it can blunt the hypertrophy. It blocks the inflammation, which is exactly what you want to trigger the adaptation of hypertrophy. But Tuesday is really about getting the maximum effect of heat exposure and cold exposure. I do a protocol which is pretty intense, designed to amplify growth hormone, stimulate a bunch of positive mood promoting hormones that last not just days, but weeks, say the literature. So I'll do 20 minutes of sauna, very hot, 3 to 5 minutes in the cold plunge up to the neck, back into the sauna for 20 minutes, back into the cold plunge for 3 to 5 minutes, back into the sauna for 20 minutes, back into the cold plunge for 3 to 5 minutes. It's work, but it's amazing in the sense that you recover very well from the leg day. You generate all the hormone neurotransmitter type of adaptations that one wants, and you get very, very good at tolerating heat and cold. And I should mention during these times, if there isn't someone else there, I'm listening to books, I'm thinking, I'm putting this work and time to use. So there's multiple things going on there. Then Wednesday, I do one of two things. I'm either going to do a shorter duration than Sunday cardiovascular training workout. So I might do, I'm thinking about 5 minutes of warm up and then about 25 to 30 minutes of usually running for me, where I'm just trying to get out and cover as much distance as I can at a fast clip, but steady. So I'm not sprint, stop, sprint, stop. That's typically what I'll do on Wednesday. Although if my legs are still a little bit sore, that's when I'll train. And here the bodybuilders are just going to go, oh, they're going to scoff. I train what I call torso. What do? I try to get pushing through the chest and shoulders. I'm trying to pull for the back. What I tend to do is overhead shoulder presses after a warm up, 2 to 3 sets, working sets or maybe 4. I like ring dips and dips these days. Those are hard for me. And I'm going to upset some people here, but I don't tend to train back every week. I do it every other week because just I have some genetic abnormality where those grow really easily and I can throw proportions off really quickly. But I might do 3 or 4 sets of chins, sort of max rep chins, slow, with slow eccentric movements, the lowering as well. So all of the movements are done at trying to move as much weight as possible, as quickly as possible on the concentric phase, and then lowering it anywhere from 2 to 4 seconds, kind of loading it like a spring and then trying to explode. I want strength, I want explosiveness, and some hypertrophy sneaks in because I'm working in that, 5 to 8 rep range. So that's what I call torso because it's chest, shoulders, back. Every other week I'll throw in those chins. And I think everyone has a muscle group like this where if they train, it just grows like a weed, but I want to keep proportions, right? Strength proportions as well. And I do train my neck that day as well. Having a strong neck, why is that so important? It's important because you want a strong spine and it's the upper portion of your spine. The other thing that I notice that it does is it completely changes my psychology to train my neck. I just naturally stand more upright. I find it easier to look people in the eye. It's not hard for me to look people directly in the eye when I speak to them, but I find I just have my posture and presence is just better in a chair or standing when I train my neck. And I think it's because my head isn't, let's just use the word again, it's not, flaccid falling of the chin towards the chest. So I do some neck work at the end. And the way I do it is take a plate, wrap it in a towel, and I usually lie on my side and I'll do it somewhere in the 10 to 15 repetition range. It also works your obliques somewhat. You have to be careful, especially getting into and out of the movement. And then I'll lie on my stomach, and this is probably the most important one, and I'll put the plate behind my head, again, wrapped in a towel, and do head raises. So this is the opposite of the text neck. You're trying to get your head sitting on top of your shoulders as it's supposed to. The neck work comes at the end, but is absolutely critical. And whenever I don't do it for a week or two, I start getting postural things. You start noticing it elsewhere in your body. It actually increases your confidence. And the reason is when you're upright, you embody a different stance. I'm a big believer that the physical stances we embody have everything to do with the psychological stances we embody and vice versa.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a real thing from a number of standpoints. So if for whatever reason I do the cardio workout that I mentioned, the 25 or 30 minutes of running, that's what I do. But some people might do it on the assault bike or something like that, or cycling or rower. On the Wednesday, then I'll do that weight workout I just described, torso, on Thursday, or I'll swap them. So there's some flexibility built into the week, travel, etc. By the way, the cardiovascular workouts can be done in the morning or the evening, but I always prefer to do them in the morning and just get it done with. Then Friday is a really important day because Friday is the day that I do a short workout, usually only about 3 minutes of warm up and about 12 minutes of training. And the goal is to get my heart rate as high as I possibly can. I learned this from Andy Galpin, just increasing VO2 max, getting those really fast twitch muscle fibers. My favorite way to do this is I'll get on the assault bike, which are the ones with the handles, with the fan, and do 20-second on sprint, 10-second rest for 6 to 8 rounds. And then what I like to do is take a band and tie it to something like a chin-up bar or something, and I'll squat down and jump. And I'll do as high jumping as I possibly can, but I actually control the eccentric. I'm holding the band as I come down. And so I learned from Peter Attia, I've learned from Andy Galpin that our ability to jump and land is strongly correlated with physical longevity. Or you could do broad jump. So you could do a bunch of broad jumps, you could do some HIIT workout, and then I'm just showered and out the door to go do my work or to work. So it's a really short workout. And then Saturday is the fun one because I'm still enjoy this. I'll go into the gym in the morning, usually it's mid-morning, and I'll do small muscle groups, biceps, triceps, rear delts. I'll do another tib and calf workout, a little bit lighter than the one on leg day because leg day is coming in 2 days. And the next day I'm doing that long hike. So that day is really to round out the smaller muscle groups that need work. And I have short torso, long arms. And so torso muscles grow very easily for me, get stronger easily. Long arms, they require a little bit more work. So I like to do a dedicated day for that. Same way, warm up plus 2 to 4 work sets of 2 to 3 exercises. You might think, gosh, that's a lot of working out. But what we're really talking about is a long hike with friends or family on Sunday or by oneself, 90 minutes to 3 hours. You're talking about an hour workout on Monday morning. You're talking about sitting in the sauna and cold on Tuesday. You're talking about running for 20 or 30 minutes on Wednesday. You're talking about doing some dips and overhead presses, maybe some chins, and a little bit of neck work on Thursday. You're talking about doing a 12-minute workout on Friday. And you're talking about going to the gym for an hour, hour and 15 minutes. It's not that much time in the gym. You can do all of that at home. There are ways to do the leg workout even at home or in natural terrain for the hikes and things. And so that's the schedule. And again, if you think about that schedule, each day you're accomplishing like endurance, leg strength, cold and heat adaptation, and all the neural stuff that goes with that. Torso, to keep the torso strong. But here again, we can say the torso work is indirectly hitting biceps and triceps. Then running for 20 or being able to run a couple miles is a good skill. And what you find is that if you trained your legs properly and you give them enough rest, and the cold and heat really help too, you are so strong on that 20 or 30 minute run. Your tibs are strong, you no floppy feet, no back pain. You're running with vigor and you go, wow, like this is great. And so what I've noticed in the last 24 months or so is that I continue to get stronger and better in each of these areas. I find that this routine has really helped me because I think it takes into account the slower recovery that is just me. And it also embraces the fact that our nervous system and musculoskeletal system can train for different adaptations simultaneously across the week.